Now the world is mine!
Of the many great villains who defined early gaming, perhaps none were quite as persistent as the nefarious Dr. Wily. Between his first appearance in 1987 and Mega Man and Bass's release 11 years later, Wily appeared as the main villain of 9 mainline Mega Man games, 5 Game Boy platformers, 2 fighting games, 2 Sega games that you only bring up if you're bored, 2 DOS games, a soccer game, and a racing game. And that isn't even counting the board game he got top billing in. That is 20, at least semi-unique titles in 11 years where you directly fight against evil Einstein. An absolutely dizzying number that would make even Bowser envious. But the old-timer doesn't seem to get out as much these days, or even get discussed very often at all. That young upstart, Dr. Robotnik, has long since passed him as the premier mad scientist of gaming through sheer number of games. And because many of Wily's appearances came earlier on in the life cycle of gaming, he hasn't been explored quite as often or to the full scrutiny of some of his colleagues showing up more recently. Heck, it's gotten so unfortunate that he's not even the most well-known and popular main villain of a Capcom franchise named Dr. Albert W. anymore.
Poor performance indeed.
As an early ambassador of games, Wily may have been great, but his shine has long since faded. And that's truly a shame, because Wily is one of the absolute best villains at supporting his franchise. I can't think of an individual character, even Mega Man himself, more important to the core themes of the entire Mega Man brand than Dr. Wily. More than jumping and shooting, more than seeing how much of Astro Boy they could slightly change to make their own franchise, more than stories of self-actualization and what it means to fight for everlasting peace. Dr. Wily has carried the Mega Man brand on his geriatric shoulders to represent its heart. He's not just the core struggle of the franchise, he shows both all the good and all of the bad that can come from progress, all of the creativity, care, and evolution that it can promise combined with its destructive potential. He could be the greatest force of practical good that the Rockman universe could ever encounter. And yet, it's his entirely human failings that he chooses to be known for. Wily is a far finer villain than should be allowed for with the limited storytelling tools of his time. A creative launchpad for the franchise that gets destroyed, defined, and delighted in through his utter megalomania.
I'll be the only one who can rebuild the world. Mankind will beg me to take over, and the best part, the very best part is I have finally gotten the best of Dr. Light!
Albert W. Wily was an absolutely brilliant inventor, striving to see robots not merely as tools, but as a future to surpass humanity. Wily spent his days at the Robot Institute of Technology, attempting to push robots beyond any limits humans could imagine. However, his desire for unstoppable power and speed, though initially coming from a place of sincere adoration, was seen as a danger to humankind if left unchecked, and was constantly challenged and kept from advancing by Wily's classmate and friend, Thomas Light. Light's own research into achieving robots with independent thought was clearly favored and supported by the RIT. And though Wily was far too brilliant to not achieve some level of success, his more dangerous inventions never received half of the praise that Light's would. LIT Manual Contest Design, Golden Prize in the World Engineering Award, the Nobel Prize in Physics. Nothing was outside of Light's reach, and everything was outside of Wily's. Decades passed, and after coming in, at best, second place again and again to the now Dr. Light, Wily retreated, vanishing from the world stage. In secret, he constructed a massive robot factory in an isolated part of the Pacific Ocean, plotting and waiting for the right moment to make his mark and show the true power and potential that his robots could provide. And as Light's plan to make robots with independent thought came to fruition with the first series of Robot Masters, Wily had his opportunity.
Gotcha!
On May 25th, 2000X, Wily stole Light's 6 industrial robots, reprogramming them to use their powers meant to supply and help mankind for combat. Took over Light's Sniper Joe series of robots to further his combat prowess, and used the army he had been building for years, in tandem with Light's own creations, made as powerful as Wily truly believed robots should be, to take over the world. And he would have gotten away with it too, if not for Light's meddling kid, Rock, a helper robot deemed too inconsequential to remodel. Using the will that Dr. Light gave him to fight for what's right, rebuilt as the super fighting robot, Mega Man, to save the world. Or if you prefer the cool 80s American version, Dr. Wily is scheming evil incarnate, who's been experimenting on humans for years to create robotic humanoid super beings in the land of Monstropolis. After revealing his true intentions, Wily reprograms Light's 6 greatest creations, making them leaders of robot empires to extend his control. Only Mega Man, chosen protector of the human race, is able to resist Wily's reprogramming and infiltrates the 7 sovereignties of
Monstropolis.
Single-handedly, taking out the robot masters one by one, until he can depose the Mad Doctor himself and save all of humanity from obsolescence at his hands. This is no bearing on future canon, but like, it's so funny. Like, God, the 80s, man. Mega Man would ultimately go on to defeat Dr. Wily, who would apologize for his evil ways and promise that he'd never, ever do it again for at least a year. So on June 9th of the following year, Wily reveals his rehabilitation has actually involved developing 8 combat robots that could far outstrip Mega Man, and challenges the Blue Bomber to dare stop him again. Which he does. And Wily has to apologize again and promise that he'll never, ever do it again. Mega Man 3 sees Wily trying to take steps to actually improve himself, agreeing to help Dr. Light fulfill his dream of creating a giant defender robot, Gamma, co-developing a new series of robot masters to explore distant planets to find powerful energy cores to fuel Gamma for everlasting peace. It goes really well.
Mission complete.
Until all of the robots suddenly and suspiciously turn evil, and Mega Man has to stop them, letting Wily steal all the energy cores for himself, take over Gamma, and get beaten by Mega Man again.
Mission failed.
But this time, instead of lying, Dr. Wily tries out dying, perishing in a freak accident in the middle of his fake apology. Mega Man 4 sees a new evil mastermind, Dr. Cossack, attempting to overthrow Mega Man after Wily's death. But surprise! Wily was actually alive the whole time, was blackmailing Cossack by holding his daughter hostage, reveals that after Mega Man beats Cossack and gets beaten again and apologizes. Again. But Mega Man 5, he framed somebody else, more revealing it was I, Wily.
Defeated again.
But Mega Man 6, don't worry, he doesn't even blackmail anyone. He just grows a beard and puts on sunglasses and is like, "Oh, hey guys, I'm Mr. X. What if we all just made a bunch of really strong fighting robots? You know, just because." And of course, that sounds like a great idea for the Tech Elite. So they make another series of Robot Masters for Mega Man to beat, and you get the point. Wily is comically stubborn as a foil to Mega Man, going from a schemer hell-bent on revenge to a goofy bad guy using Looney Tunes disguises to trick people into making him more killer robots because he's a little strapped for cash after 5 failures. Wily is a goof that no player could possibly take seriously after doing the same song and dance with him 6 times over, year after year. Which only belays just how effective and threatening of a villain Wily truly is. In spite of his annual failings, Wily is never presented as incompetent or unthreatening, never dismissed out of hand by rock or light. Instead, Wily's repeated and constant attacks on the world at large are seen as a testament to his incredible resourcefulness and cunning. Creations like the Yellow Devil and Copy Robot are technical marvels for the Mega Man world. A shape memory alloy monster with a body impervious to harm, and a 3D copy protocol that can mimic even Dr. Light's most complex design in an instant. After merely reprogramming Light's robots in the first game, seeing the technology of the Robot Masters up close just once, Wily is able to replicate and improve upon it, mostly 8 times in under a year. He made a solid light hologram of himself that turns into an alien just to prove to Mega Man that he was a superior life form. And this was an insurance policy just in case the giant death fortress with the robot dragon and the muscle tank didn't work out. In the same time span, Light made item 2? Got halfway to making a robot dog? Wily's drive and ego are fueled by his ambition, and he's truly threatening because he is just as great of a scientific mind as he believes himself to be. The only thing that holds him back are his pride, his envy, and ironically, his humanity. From the moment he became a scientist, Wily could only compare himself to Thomas Light, never understanding why he wasn't good enough, what he did wrong, why no one could see the path forward that he intended to carve. It is Wily's ultimate human failing, his refusal to compromise, open up, and work with others that keeps him forever shackled to an existence of constant defeat.
Silence! My plans have only just begun, you fool! And I won't stop until I see both of you kneeling before me in utter defeat!
And yet, Wily has a bond with robots that somehow goes beyond what Light is capable of. Before creating Mega Man, Dr. Light had a first draft of his independently thinking robot, a first son, Protoman. However, the environmentally friendly solar energy reactor Protoman was developed with was unstable, making his body frailer than his build should allow for and threatening his life. While Light intended to fix this mistake, Protoman feared that the Doctor intended to change his sense of self, reprogramming him entirely, and feeling betrayed, fled for his life. Light assumed Protoman dead, but used the data he collected to improve on his design. Proto's body used as a basis for the Sniper Joe series of robots, and his personality and core tweaked to become Rock. Alone, Protoman wandered the world until his leaking, depleted energy failed him, almost certainly facing death. Until he was found by the still-in-hiding Dr. Wily. Wily replaced Protoman's malfunctioning solar core with a far more powerful nuclear reactor, granted him an arm cannon for combat proficiency, and even created a shield to compensate for Blues' pitiful stamina. Before even Mega Man was created as a basis, Wily was capable of forging a super fighting robot that put all others made before him to shame. And through his sincere desire to make robots the best he possibly could, connected and bonded with Protoman. Light's first son would take up the fight against his creator, loyal to Dr. Wily and resentful of the Blue Bomber and Sniper Joes created to replace him.
That accursed Light, allowing another unfinished robot.
Until eventually, through their fights, Mega Man's own care and love broke through. And Wily proved his selfishness and egomania like a dozen times over, of course. Wily is really bad at keeping his poker face for more than like a couple weeks at a time.
It's always been on my mind, what it means to be born with weapons in our hands. I haven't found the answer yet, but with the powers you've given me, I will crush your villainy.
And this interesting relationship with robots would continue past this simple encounter. Mega Man 9 shows Wily performing his most evil scheme yet. Inspirational speaking. He talks to a bunch of Light's robots and reveals that they're scheduled for demolition soon. They're planned obsolescence, meaning they simply won't have a purpose anymore other than to be scrap. Rather than discard them, Wily is glad to improve them and reprogram them to wreck up the world so he can frame Dr. Light and trick people into sending money to his Swiss bank account. Mega Man 10 sees Wily attacked by robots afflicted with the Roboenza virus, which is a 2-strain virus that causes robots to either become debilitatingly sick like a human, or just attack indiscriminately so that Mega Man has some dudes to fight. After being rescued by Mega Man and agreeing to help Dr. Light research a cure, Wily goes, "Surprise! It was me who caused the global robot pandemic! I invented a robot sickness in a world where it didn't exist before! And if you want the cure, you'll have to become a Wily robot!" Until Mega Man himself caught the virus before springing into action. But then Mega Man's family gives him a bit of their sample cure and Wily loses again. But not before revealing that he's horribly ill himself. It's not shown whether Wily was somehow infected by the Roboenza virus, though he does insist it's just the flu if you're not into the theory of Wily roboticizing himself in secret. But Mega Man takes the ailing madman to a hospital and saves his life. And out of gratitude and grappling with his own mortality, Wily silently escapes, leaving behind the Roboenza cure in bulk to cure all of the robots he'd infected. Mega Man 11 sees Wily looking back toward the original innovation that drove him down his dark path, the double gear system. Utilizing technology that he made like 50 years ago to push robots beyond their perceived limits, his ideas proving to be literal decades, if not centuries, in the future. It's only because Light held on to the original double gear prototype, his hope that Wily would come back and they would find a humane way to merge Wily's ideas with his own, that Mega Man was able to overcome the Mad Doctor's plot and counter his insane superhuman gambit taken from his own self-experimentation.
Time for Plan B! Spare me! I'm a helpless old man!
In all of his later appearances, Wily proves his incredible ability. He dives into his past of helping and improving robots. He actively pushes robotics forward in a way unimaginable previously through sheer force of will, correcting the wrongs of planned obsolescence and improving robotic efficiency to unheard of levels. From the moment that Wily repaired Protoman to the moment that Light improved Mega Man using Wily's tech, Wily has been taking Light's designs and aspirations and upgrading them, an outside perspective bettering all of mankind and robot kind to create more complete, more able, more human mechanical beings. Light even recognizes this, telling Wily that Mega Man is the culmination of both of their work, that both of them, in their own way, have pushed Mega Man to be a beautiful, unique creation that embodies both of their dreams.
Look at Mega Man and tell me what you see. Mega Man wields tremendous power, but he has the intelligence to use it wisely. He's your vision and mine combined. If our ideas, our gears, could mesh together, Mega Man would be the result. We achieved this together. It's not too late, Albert. Atone for your crimes and join me again.
But Wily just can't see it. Decades of envy, years of failure, dozens of battles have taken their toll, and unless he can be credited on his own, his genius, his philosophy rising above all others, he'll never rest. Wily isn't a being of pure evil or malice. He doesn't want to destroy the world. He just wants to be acknowledged on his own as the greatest, and will take whatever measures necessary to do so. And 3 creations, one within his lifetime, one far past it, and one beyond his world, would prove that without a shadow of a doubt. At the beginning of Mega Man 7, Rock is ambushed by a new robot. Possessing all of Mega Man's natural abilities, this mysterious newcomer isn't here to destroy Mega Man, merely to test if Rock can stand up to Dr. Wily's forces as the mad scientist succeeds in his last escape from jail. This would prove to be a rival that Mega Man couldn't win over through heart alone. This was a being whose one purpose was to test and surpass the one robot that had never been overcome before. This was Bass.
Your history!
Developed in secret before the events of Mega Man 6, Bass was to be Wily's greatest project yet. Studying Protoman's blueprints, Wily was ready to create a robot to match Dr. Light's golden child, pound for pound. Carrying the same variable weapon system installed in Mega, able to bond with and utilize a robot wolf, arm cannon equipped with a chargeable shot, Bass is more than just a Mega Man knockoff. He's the whole enchilada. But Bass didn't stop there. In tinkering with his finest creation, Dr. Wily accidentally stumbled upon a new scientific energy source, Fortanium, which I'm calling by its Japanese name because it rolls off the tongue better than Bassnium. This new energy source seemed infinite, and with it, Bass would prove to be a weapon to surpass Mega Man. Because he can shoot diagonal! Oh my god! With all of this, Bass wasn't just programmed with one directive, he had a singular goal that he would stop at nothing to achieve. Defeat Mega Man and become the strongest robot in the world. Bass feigned being Mega Man's ally, pretending to lose a fight to Shade Man so he can be taken back for repairs at Light Labs, only to betray Dr. Light and steal the blueprints for the Rush Super Adapter. Wily would use this technology to enhance Bass to even greater heights, the culmination of Light's efforts in improving Mega Man with Wily's genius and power. And with all of that, becoming the greatest robot the world had ever known, Bass still lost. Wily had indeed succeeded in creating his own super fighting robot, molded in his own image, following his own philosophy to be the very best, and in spite of his awesome power and self-evident superiority, can never defeat his arch-rival. Bass would go on to use Wily, joining up with him when it gives him a shot to fight Mega Man easily, but actively against the Mad Doctor, especially when Wily would try to make robots to surpass Bass.
You'll pay for this insult.
Which Bass would then beat, and Wily would go, "No, I was just testing you. You're clearly the biggest and strongest, Bass." Wily had given a face to his own self-destruction, armed it, and lost control of it. But he always learns from defeat. Though he was growing old, his life running short, Wily would always think to the future. If he couldn't beat Light in his lifetime, he would create a robot that would define the future. A robot that even Light's finest creations would be envious of. A being without peer. A creation that would survive throughout centuries and serve as Wily's eternal living legacy.
If you really knew me, you'd be shaking in your boots right about now.
Combining the template of Protoman, the originator of the Robot Master series, with the incredible energy and power of Base, Zero is the finest of Dr. Wily's creations. Wily forged Zero for two purposes: to get the absolute last laugh on his rival by sabotaging and destroying Dr. Light's final creation, X, and to spread Wily's final instrument of destruction, a virus that would infect the minds of robots, turning them against the creeds that define them into hostile mavericks. Unfortunately, Zero would prove to be too powerful for Wily to handle, going berserk upon activation with an insatiable thirst for violence. A disappointed Wily sealed Zero away, along with the Maverick virus, passing away before his ambitions could come to fruition, only hoping that the virus would calm Zero's temperament enough to fulfill his mission and show the genius of Wily for time immemorial. By the turn of the next century, Zero would indeed reawaken, striking down anyone who would approach, even grievously wounding Sigma, the greatest combat robot of his era. But the virus had changed Zero. After his initial rampage, Zero remained calm, distant, and with a strong sense of justice to aid humankind. Which would be a good thing, as all of the virus that his pod was loaded up with started spreading across the world, and fast. Zero would quickly become his era's most distinguished Maverick Hunter, the new super fighting robot relied on to save the world, an inspiration that stood leagues above the Reploids that served underneath him. Reploids, like Mega Man X. Wily would be so proud. Furious beyond belief that they were friends, but proud. Zero evolved past anything Wily could possibly comprehend. For a robot invented a century earlier, Zero proved to be far more combat capable than decades of scientific progress could keep up with. Unlike X, constantly looking for upgrades to improve, Zero was ready built with all he would ever need, innovating new techniques as he defeated foes, and improving not just in the amount of powers he could pilfer off of others, but in knowledge and skill. And though his original programming remained, and if the absolute worst occurred and restarted his Prime Directive in full force, could revert him to a mere Mega Man killer, the potential Zero held was enough to overcome it. Wily's final two creations marked the tentpoles of his existence. In the Maverick virus, his wild, unchecked ambition and desire for revenge and destruction, the chaos of a madman who would see the world engulfed in robotic war if his name was the last thing that humanity ever cursed. But in Zero, all of the power, potential, and dreams he held to push robotics forward and let them not overtake humanity, but be an evolution of it. The entire 21XX era, on both sides of its greatest conflict, is defined by Wily's inventions, and it would ultimately be his creation that would end it. After decades of fighting, Zero donated his body for scientists to study the virus within him, keeping his mind in stasis, leading to the eradication of the Maverick virus once and for all. Hundreds of years later, Zero's consciousness would awaken again to a new threat, one that he would overcome even without X by his side, even managing to defeat his original body, upgraded and corrupted in the process.
Another soulless copy.
Zero would ultimately erase everything that Wily had left the world, his virus, his great robot, his hatred, and leave only the humanity Wily had accidentally fostered as his legacy. Zero transcended Wily's purpose for him and became something more fitting. For out of all the thousands of robots Wily would create, Zero was the only one Wily would ever refer to as my son. That is the epitome of Wily in the Mega Man series. Even at his highest point, proving his superiority as an inventor to Light. His ambitions are squashed by the moral core that Light embodies. But there is one more example of Wily's insatiable ego leading to incredible progress and fueling the Mega Man franchise. And it doesn't even happen within the games. You see, Wily's robot masters aren't actually designed by Dr. Wily. He would far rather take a group opinion on ways to properly squash that pesky Mega Man. The Boss Character Contest was a challenge sent out by Capcom to all of the aspiring character designers of the world, from children to professionals. Could you create a robot master that could trounce the Blue Bomber? And this event, of course, was hosted by Dr. Wily, the mad scientist personally thanking and rewarding those who went above and beyond in helping design Mega Man's doom. Sure, you could get some special thanks with the meager feel-good Dr. Light prize for runners-up. But Dr. Wily would send you a golden cartridge of the game you helped create if you won his prize, the highest possible honor. Though only 8,370 submissions from Japan were collected for the inaugural contest in Mega Man 2, by the contest's peak around Mega Man 7, over 220,000 entries were collected from all over the world. The contest would be reported on by Nintendo Power, inspire artists to contribute to their fandom, create hundreds upon thousands of fun little OCs in the hopes of stoking the flames of the fans. Heck, the teenage artist who made this guy ended up as the illustrator for another, much more famous man later in his career. For the amount of copies that the games actually sold, Mega Man had an incredibly passionate fan base. The Blue Bomber properly recognized as the main face of Capcom, even as the likes of Ryu easily surpassed him in sales. And events like this, hosted by Dr. Wily, are a big reason why. In just trying to stand out and be appreciated more, Wily caused thousands to pay more and more attention to Mega Man, and the world's better for it. There are more interpretations of Wily worth praising. His Battle Network counterpart shows a Wily who's still devilishly devoted to his egocentricity, but he gets a human son and is able to lament how his obsession has damaged his son's upbringing, finding something in his lifetime worth reforming for. The Archie comics give a lot of nuance to Wily's struggles, especially when it comes to his relationship with Light, and even gives him some direct and humanizing contrast with fellow video game legend Dr. Eggman. The Ruby Spears cartoon is probably my favorite Hammy Scott McNeil performance. He's just so in love with being evil.
Submit to me.
We can't do that. It's slavery.
Sounds good to me.
But even within just the text of the main series itself, Dr. Wily proves himself to be a lot more than just an excuse to fight 8 more funny-looking robots. Mega Man is founded on strong scientific ideals and principles, Wily embodying not a purely destructive force, but the idea of force, strength, and advancement being used as the right way to propel mankind forward. And though Light's philosophy of understanding, patience, and working with robots as partners does overcome Wily time and again, the series proves that Wily isn't inherently misguided. His advancements, his spirit, his unrelenting desire is something that the world needs. It draws others in, stimulates creativity, allows for continual innovation using different frameworks to make you better than you thought possible. And when combined with Light's self-reflection, can create something beautiful to truly pave the path into the future. Wily is only a villain because he can't get over himself, and his self-obsessed quest to be proven the very best is the only thing that he can see gives him value. As the man himself says,
He is my nemesis. Our rivalry is what
gives me motivation in life.
Wily remains the motivating heart behind nearly the entire Mega Man franchise's conflicts, and the perfect showman of how to design for Megalomania.